All right, well, just breaking news coming in. 3 people have been confirmed dead after a missile fired by Iran struck a building in Israel's Bat Yam. Now, those killed include a woman in her 60s, a woman in her 70s, and a child aged 13. Now, according to first responders, more than 100 people in total have been wounded in the 2 impact sites in both Bat Yam and Rehovot, including a number who were seriously injured. Now, breaking news just coming in. Casualties have been reported in Israel. 3 people have been confirmed dead after a missile fired by Iran struck a building in Israel's Bat Yam. And those killed include a woman in her 60s, a woman in her 70s, and a child aged 13. According to first responders, more than 100 people in total have been wounded in the 2 impact sites in both Bat Yam and Rehovot, including a number who were seriously injured. Now, that is the latest that we are getting in, and these are the visuals that you see in Bat Yam, where the rescue operation is still underway, with 3 casualties reported so far. We're to discuss more. We are now being joined live by Dr. Alfonsa Kohhan. He is a professor of non-proliferation and terrorism studies at the Middlebury Institute and a West Asia analyst. Thank you so much for joining on the show. Now, the phone call.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, the phone call between Putin and Trump were majorly dominated by Israel-Iran conflict. Do you think at this point international pressure can bring about some resolution to at least an effort towards de-escalation?
Yes, and I think it should be by both Putin and Trump. Both of them have credibility with both sides of this conflict. As you know, to start a war, it's easy, and apparently Israel, for years, for decades, has been building towards that kind of first beginning of the war. The more we know, the more it appears to be brilliant in so many of its tactical aspects, including beyond just the immediate things. But to bring it to some kind of termination, to try to de-escalate, it's not that easy. So I think the combination of Putin and Trump is, in principle, a good one to try to force both sides to de-escalation, yes.
Right. Now, Israeli media have claimed that Iran has asked Oman and Qatar to mediate between Tehran and Washington with the aim of resuming nuclear negotiations, but on a condition that Israeli attacks cease. What kind of role do you think an Arab community can play in the conflict right now in West Asia during this conflict?
Well, I think that direct talk with the United States seem by the Iranians as somewhat biased towards Israel. The United States' previous bargaining position was no enrichment. For Iran, enrichment has become, over the years, almost the flagship of its foreign policy and domestic policy, in fact. So bringing some local Arab states who are friendly with both sides seems to create some kind of situation of starting to put some grounds for conversation. As you know, the United States is not engaged directly in the offensive, but the Iranians believe that the United States was helping in creating debate, in creating the conditions for the Israeli attack, providing various kinds of cover. Not direct involvement, but cover. And I think to have some local Arab from the Gulf may give some kind of confidence-building measure.
Right, and you mentioned U.S. Now, Trump has clearly said that he has left the door open for any kind of discussions that can bring Iran on the table. Do you think countries like Oman and Qatar can actually convince Israel, on the part of Israel as well, to actually stop this whole conflict, maybe a ceasefire, and bring them to the table?
It is not easy. It is not easy. I believe that Israel always has been successful in very short kind of wars. Uh, to manage to sustain a war with that kind of distance, essentially the entire what you call East Western Asia, all the way from Tehran to Tel Aviv, nearly 2,000 kilometers. It's a very, very difficult challenge for Israel. Israel cannot keep that kind of intensity. For Iran, which does not have an air force, it has a lot of missiles, does not have effective, serious air force. They can simply continue every night to send a few missiles. Israel cannot allow itself to get into attrition war. So the question is how to find a way to de-escalate, and both sides need to agree for that. It's not just the desire of one side. So I believe that both sides, in fact, do have the need to do so. And I think that involvement of a number of outside countries, including Russia, who is friendly with Iran, could be in principle quite helpful.
Right, and also you talked about Israel's, how long can they actually go for this? Because of course there has been 3 years of conflict in the region, exactly in itself. But where do you think, why is Israel so confident about actually going after these? They just attacked military headquarters, nuclear weapon infrastructure sites. How long do you think Israel can actually take this, even being having U.S. as ally?
The truth is that Israel cannot do it for too long. When I say too long, I think the intensity of so far the first 3 days is enormous, and I cannot see it continue for that kind of intensity, that kind of pace, more than a few more days. And that is very, very tough. Israel is keeping quiet about that, but Israel has limited resources. As brilliant as it is in terms of ammunition, in terms of number of planes, the pressure on those elements of the IDF who are participating, primarily the Air Force and intelligence, is enormous, and Israel needs some kind of pause. I think the Israelis would have liked the United States to help them directly. I am very doubtful if that's possible. I don't think that Trump is ready to do so. So there is a need to see coming to some kind of pause, some kind of ceasefire. One way to do it is perhaps for Israel is to give some demonstrations of what it could do in terms of just scaring the Iranians, perhaps igniting a great deal of their oil area and the energy. But I think Israel has a need, but I think Iran too. Iran has been, his pride it's a proud country. It has been humiliated. There was attacks all over Tehran, its capital. This is unprecedented. So I think Iran needs to feel that it has retaliated enough to Israel. To be honest, with all what this scary side that we saw on the screen in Tel Aviv, around Tel Aviv, in Bat Yam, and other places, this is nothing to what happened in Iran. So I'm not sure if Iran is still satisfied with its immediate needs. It's also to keep its own regime. So I think we do need others to help to push both sides out of the tree that they've got into, to go into some kind of towards ceasefire. And I hope that would be successful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, Israel has said that, as you said, that Israel is probably not in a position to actually prolong this whole conflict.
It cannot.
How about
Iran? It's not.
How about Iran? Because all these military targets have been attacked.
Iran is a country with over 90 million people, huge territory. I think for the Iran issue, the Iranian pressure is to keep the stability of the regime. If they perceive, and I'm not saying factually anything because it's difficult to say, difficult to assess from the outside, but if those attacks could disable the regime, could shake the regime, I think there would be a growing incentive towards ceasefire. But Iran needs to feel that its pride has been repaid, that its credibility and dignity has not been damaged too much. And so far, the truth is that Iran's dignity has been suffered a great deal.
Right, and
because it's Israel. I mean, what we learned in the last few hours, in the last 12 hours, is that Israel that initially, in the initial stage of the war, we understand that most of what Israel did was using munitions from, you know, long distance. Much of it was apparently outside Iranian borders. Israel was able to remove so much of the Iranian air defense that by now Israeli aircraft, Israeli combat planes were having a safe path to Tehran all the way to the Iranian capital. And that's humiliating for such a major nation, a nation that prides itself to be the heir of a great civilization.
Mm. Now, Iran has so far claimed that it's not using nuclear weapons for anything else but civilian purposes. But of course, now the negotiation talks are still in a limbo. Do you think Iran would actually want to go back to its nuclear efforts?
Difficult to say. It's those decisions will be made by the supreme leader. The supreme leader itself. So much of the Iranian leadership has been decapitated. We're just removed. I'm talking about their military leadership, nuclear leadership, and even elements of the Revolutionary Guard. So even the very notion of Iranian leadership below the supreme leader is now is kind of in limbo. So we are not fully clear about what kind of consultations, who are the new decision makers. But I think that Iran, and that's what Israel is trying, because the Israeli pressure, the pressure on Israel to have it short is a very strong one. And also the realization that the United States would not be actively involved in that. I think that's a growing understanding. I think that the dream of Netanyahu was that Iran would make mistakes, would attack American assets in the area, and the United States would be dragged into this fight to help. It doesn't seem to be happening, at least as of now.
Right.
So both needs to recognize. You see, when you start, one side can start, especially if it has a very tempting, a very well prepared for years, for decades, attack plan. But to agree for ceasefire, you need both sides to believe that a ceasefire, or at least a pause, would serve their own interest. And it's a very tricky thing to have both sides feel it, and that's why you need the mediations of some strong element from the outside. Russia and the United States is a good idea.
All right. Well, of course, we'll have to leave it at that, of course, and leave what the developments look like if we go in the future. But thank you so much, Dr. Avni Kohhan, for joining us and giving your insights.
Thank you. Thank you.